You probably look at a map every single day, right? We trust them completely. We assume they show us the world exactly as it is, a perfect mirror of reality. But what if I told you that every map isn't a photograph, but a story? A story with a very specific point of view, one that's carefully designed to persuade you. That's the fascinating idea we're diving into. And this quote here from the historian Arthur Robinson, it just nails the classic idea of why we even have maps. Basically, we're stuck down here on the ground, right? We can only see what's right in front of us. Maps are the tools that let us, as he says, rise above all that and finally see the bigger picture. They're essential for figuring out our place in the world. Now, this incredible power that maps have, it all hinges on one big assumption, that the map is a mirror, a direct, objective, and flawless representation of what's really out there. We think of it as a perfect one-to-one reflection. And honestly, why wouldn't we see them that way? I mean, think about it. We rely on them for everything. We use them to build our cities, to plan our roads, to analyze massive data sets on everything from population to climate change. They just feel so factual, so scientific, so real. All of that trust is built on this core idea that the map is a faithful mirror of nature. So, if the main goal is to create that flawless mirror, what would the history of map-making look like? Well, it would have to be a story of constant progress, wouldn't it? A scientific mission, basically, to just keep polishing that mirror, getting rid of every single smudge and distortion, getting closer and closer to that perfect reflection. And for centuries, that's pretty much exactly what happened. You had pioneers like Ptolemy way back in the 2nd century tackling the huge problem of how to draw a round planet on a flat piece of paper. His ideas got rediscovered centuries later and kicked off the whole age of discovery. Fast forward to the 18th century, and you've got these massive national projects to map everything with scientific accuracy. And then, boom, the 20th century hits with airplanes, photography, computers, a total tech explosion, all in the service of making that mirror absolutely perfect. Okay, so it sounds like a straight line to perfection, doesn't it? But what happens if we lean in and look really, really closely at that supposedly perfect mirror? We start to see some cracks. Little flaws that make you wonder if the reflection is quite as pure or as objective as we've been led to believe. And that brings us to the big question, the really crucial one. Can a map ever actually be a perfect one-to-one reflection of reality? Or is that whole idea just impossible from the get-go? Well, a map historian named J.B. Harley came up with this amazing concept he called cartographic silences. And his point was brilliant. To make any map useful, you have to make choices. You have to decide what to put in and, just as importantly, what to leave out. I mean, just imagine a map that showed every single rock, every tree, every building. It would be a complete mess, totally useless. So what a map doesn't show, those silences, are just as powerful as what it does show. And this is the key, right here. Every single map, without exception, has to simplify reality. It just has to. It can never show everything. And that simple act of choosing what to include and what to exclude, well, it's like angling the mirror. You're always showing one particular version of the world while hiding another. Now, this isn't a mistake or a flaw, it's just a fundamental part of how maps work. Okay, so once you accept that maps are always selective, that they're always making these choices, the whole idea of a neutral mirror kind of falls apart. Instead, maps become something else entirely. They become arguments. They're not just showing us the world, they're actively crafting a specific vision of it for us. So you've got these two totally different ways of looking at it. On one hand, you have the traditional view, cartographic reason, which says, nope, a map is an objective mirror of what's out there. But on the other hand, you have this newer idea, critical cartography, which says, hold on, a map is a social construction. And from that perspective, maps don't just represent worlds, they actually help produce them. There's this awesome term for this myth of perfect objectivity. The philosopher Donna Haraway calls it the God trick. It's this fantasy that you can float above everything and see it all perfectly with no bias from no particular place. But come on, that's impossible, right? Every single person who makes a map is, well, a person. They live somewhere, they exist in a certain time, they have a reason for making the map. There is no view from nowhere. And just think about how powerful this is. The geographer Gunnar Olsen made this point. The second you draw a single line on a map, you're not just copying something that's already there. No way. You're creating a distinction. This side, that side. You're defining an identity. Here is us, over there is them. You're literally creating a boundary. It's a hugely powerful act of making meaning. Okay, so this is all great in theory, but how does it actually change how we see things in the real world? Let's put this idea to the test with one of the most famous, most useful maps on the entire planet. I'm talking about the London Underground map. You've probably seen it. It's totally iconic, and millions of people navigate London with it every single day. But here's the secret, and it's a big one. Geographically speaking, it's completely wrong. The distances, the angles, where the stations are, it's all distorted.
See, it's not trying to be a mirror. It's making an argument, and its argument is all about clarity and ease of use. Technically, it's a special type of map called a distance cartogram. It purposefully messes with reality for one simple reason, to make it dead simple for you to get from point A to point B. It throws geographic accuracy out the window in favor of a different kind of truth, usability. And you know what? It works like a charm. So, after all this, what's the big takeaway? It's really this. Maps aren't objective mirrors. They are powerful, constructed stories. They work by simplifying reality, making choices about what to show and what to hide. And those choices build an argument. Now, this doesn't mean maps are lies or that we should just stop trusting them. Not at all. It just means we need to learn to read them critically, to understand who made it, for what purpose, and what point of view they're pushing. So from now on, the next time you pull up a map on your phone or see one on the news, just pause for a second. Ask yourself, what story is this map telling? What choices were made here? What argument is it making about the world? And what is it trying to make me believe?